Good morning. Today we're going to talk about the different types of slope that are present in linear equations, and we're going to be discovering how to find slope from a graph and also how to find slope when you're given 2 points. So first off, we're going to talk about the different types of slope. The first type of slope happens when you have a line that goes from left to right and is increasing. This is called positive slope. The next type of slope decreases from left to right. It's like it's going down. So that's called negative slope. Next, we have a line that's just straight up tall, up and down, vertical. This is called undefined, and we'll discover why today. Lastly, we have a horizontal line. It's flat from left to right, and this is called zero slope. Now, when you're trying to find slope from a graph, we use something called rise over run. And before I show what that means, let's just talk about rise real quick. Rise is the directions up and down. You can go up, you can go down. If you're going up, it's said that you're going in the positive direction. And if you're going down, that's said to be the negative direction. So we want to remember these signs. Now let's talk about run. Run, well, you can run to the left or you could run to the right. Now, if you go to the left, that's called the negative direction, and the right is our positive direction. And we really have to remember these signs. Now remember, slope is represented by the letter m, and it's a fraction. It's done by taking the rise and dividing it by the run. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So looking at example number 1, we have to find the slope of each line, and we have to write the answer in the simplest form possible, which means we're just going to be dividing our numbers each time. When you're finding the slope, you need 2 points. You need a beginning and an end. And thankfully, this document marks a point for you right here and right here. When finding slope, we first want to find the rise. So ask yourself, if you're at this point on the bottom and you want to go to that point on the top, are you going to go up or are you going to go down to get there? Well, in this case, we're going to go up, but how many times will we have to go up? And here we're just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we rose 7 times. So rise is 7. Now we're going to run. We're going to go to the left or the right. But to get to that next point, I can't go left. So I'm going to go right because that's where it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our run was 4. Now our last step is to divide. So over here on the right, I'm just going to divide 7 divided by 4. And nothing changed. That means that 7 over 4 is the simplest fraction that we can use to represent the slope. So let's do that again with number 2. First, we need 2 points, and I see one is marked here, the other down below. To go from this point on top down here, I have to go down. Well, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 times. But remember, when you go down, that's the negative direction. So I'm going to say that the rise in this case was -3, not just 3. Now I need to get my run. This is found by going left or right, but since the other point is on the right, that's the direction we'll go. Now we just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And since I went to the right, that's the positive direction, so I don't really have to worry about our signs. Now let's check if we found our rise over run. Rise over run. Well, our rise was -3. Oh, my document's all messed up right now. Rise was -3. and our run was 9. Now if we do -3 divided by 9 in the calculator, we see it simplifies to -1/3. So that is the simplest form of slope in this case. Now let's look at problem number 3. I think my document moved a little bit. It was there. So now let's check our 2 points on this line. We have one here, we have one there. Now, when I'm trying to go from the point on the left to the point on the right, I don't want to go up or down because I'm already on that same surface. So rise in this case is going to be 0 because we don't want to go up or down because that would move us away from the point we're trying to get to. Now, I do have a run because I need to go to the right to get to that other point. Well, how many times do we move? 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So run is 4. Now, we still have to do the division because slope is rise divided by run. Now, when I do 0 divided by 4 in my calculator, I get 0. Now, this makes sense because earlier we learned the 4 types of slope. Up here, if it's a flat horizontal line, the slope will always be 0. So technically, if we remember that rule, we don't even have to count the steps. But this is just a way to prove that it is 0. Now, if you look at example number 4, I see this special type of line. It's vertical, it's up and down. And we already discussed that if it's a vertical line going up and down, we call it undefined. But let's figure out why. We're going to follow those same steps. So find your 2 points. And let's just say that we want to start at the bottom and we want to go to the top. Well, I do have a rise. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my rise is 5. But I'm already at that point. I don't need to go left or right. So my run in this case is just 0. Now, what happens when we do our division? Rise divided by run. What is 5 divided by 0? Well, if I perform that calculation, I get undefined. We're not allowed to divide by 0 in any case. So here we're just going to say our answer is undefined. And remember, this is a rule. So in the future, you don't really have to find rise over run. If you see a vertical line, you can automatically assume that it is undefined. Now, one way to remember the slopes is Mr. Slope Guy. I'm going to draw him off to the side. Remember, if you have a line that increases from left to right that goes up, the slope is positive. If you have a line that decreases from left to right, the slope is negative. If you have a vertical line, the slope is undefined, so we're going to use a U. And if you have a horizontal line, the slope is 0. So we're going to give him dimples. I don't know if y'all could see that face, but that right there is Mr. Slope Guy, Mr. Slope Guy, Mr. Slope Man. And if you remember those rules, it'll save you a lot of time in the future. Let's see if we can do a few more examples just to solidify what we've learned. I'll speed it up here just so we can get a few more examples in. Looking at number 5, I found my 2 points. I want to go and find my rise. I need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'm going to set up my division already just to save time. Now my run is to the right 1, 2, 3 times. I don't have to worry about signs because I went up and to the right, and I already see that this line is increasing from left to right, so I know my answer will be positive. Now let's just do this division and see if we get a different fraction. 5 divided by 3 is 5 divided by 3, so that is our answer. Now, looking at problem number 6, I noticed that this line is going down from left to right. So my answer should be negative, but let's just do the steps to remember. Starting at this point here, I need to go down to get to my next point. Going down 3 times is the negative direction, so my rise is -3. Now I need to find my run. Well, it's only 1 point to the right, so -3 divided by 1, when I perform that division, I get -3. So that is my answer. Looking at problem number 7, I notice that the line is going up from left to right, so my answer should be positive. But just checking, starting from the first point, trying to get to the second, I need to go up 4 times. And my run is 2 units to the right. Now, 4 divided by 2, when I perform that, I get 2. So the slope in this case is +2. Let's do one more. I notice that number 8 is decreasing from left to right, so my answer should be negative. To go from the first point to the second, I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Down is a negative direction, so my rise is -4. Now I'm ready to find my run. From where I left off, I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right, and I get -4 divided by 4 for my slope, which when we do that division, we get -1. One thing I want to stress is it doesn't matter which point you start at. For example, let's do number 8 over again. In this example, I started at the left and I went to the right. But what happens if we start from this point and move to the left? Well, my rise would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And since I went up, it would be a +4. Now my run would be to the left. And I'd go left 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But since I went left, that's a negative direction. So I'd get 4 divided by -4. You might notice that these two fractions in both examples are the exact same except for the signs. But once we perform the division, it doesn't matter that the denominator is negative because I get the same answer either way. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't matter what direction you start with, so long as you remember the rules of the signs. Just to finish off, notice number 11 is a vertical line. So we should know by looking at it that the answer is undefined. And number 16 is a horizontal line, which means the slope would be 0 in this case.